speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Who you with, Kirk? I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak. Welcome to speak. Welcome to speak. I'm 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 who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome everyone to the show. Facebook, YouTube, oh man, Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, Indeed Live is in the house. You can live chat with us during the show. Hopefully y'all had a great day today, as always. Every day is great for me. Even if it's a bad day, it's a great day. You have to make the best of it. So tonight we're going to talk about this Colonial Pipeline. We didn't get a chance to talk about it earlier this week about the hack that happened, but it's back online. We also going to talk about Greg Abbott signing the HB 1024 bill and Representative Liz Cheney. We're going to hit on that a little bit, and then if we have time, we also going to do Ask Kirk Dog Anything. So if you have a question, you're more than welcome to ask, and I will respond. But when you ask those questions, be prepared for the answer, because I'm going to be honest and truthful with you. So we're going to get this started. This party started quick. So we've been hearing about this pipeline that was actually hacked, I guess, about 6 days ago. Well, today at 5 p.m. Central Time, they put them back online. They was hacked by a Russian gang that demanded money. Demanded money. But it also came out that I seen where one story said about 2 weeks ago they had put out a ad looking for cybersecurity help. So they was looking for someone who could take over that position. Then all of a sudden they got hacked. But it's a good thing they're back online. But the bad thing about it, the gas prices keep going up. Now, it's going to be a while. They say it's not a gas shortage. A lot of stations on the southeast coast is running out of gas. But the question is, if it's not affecting the West as for DFW, why the hell our gas prices keep going up? So, but on the southeast coast, it is a struggle. Some service station have ran out. I was talking with a cousin that lived in North Carolina yesterday, and they mentioned to me that the station was only allowing them to get $20 worth of gas at a time. Now, if you're paying almost $3 for them, $20 not taking you too far, get you back home. But so basically, they say it's not a shortage, but then you have a lot of people filling up all the gas cans and all of this, which is kind of like how they was doing the tissues. the toilet paper and sanitizer. And they stacking up on them. Then once it go back to normal, they're gonna have all this gas if they don't kill themselves. Because I've seen people putting several gas cans in a vehicle, and they probably gonna get in and probably gonna get in the car and light up a cigarette, which is a deadly combination. So so definitely it's a good thing it's back online, and hopefully the gas price start falling. But the deal is with that, normally it's gonna take a while for them to fall. Um, so they saying on the East Coast everybody should have gas in a couple of days. But I've seen some gas prices on the news where they were saying it was like over $4 a gallon, which is quite a bit um, in the midst of a pandemic. And I cannot remember exactly where it was, but I know it's affected from Louisiana all the way up to New York and New Jersey. That's how far up it's affected the East Coast. And people have raised the price, which I talked with a good friend of mine today who is a truck driver, and he was coming out of North Carolina. And he said, man, a lot of these stations up here running out of gas. So it's kind of rough. He said he just filled up and trying to get back to where he know it's some fuel at. And so it's gonna be gonna feel the effect for a while. And one thing about the fuel price, especially big trucks having to drive diesels, uh, having to drive diesels, though gas price can be, it could take a long time for them to drop. And the thing is, when the gas price go up like that, driving a big truck, gas is over $4 a gallon. They don't raise that pay up. They still want to haul that freight cheap. So it's not a good thing. And that was one of the problem when I guess it was uh, when we had the issue several years back with the gas prices going up to over $3 a gallon, and diesel was like $4 a gallon. And you trying to make a decent living, all your money was going to the fuel. So and it took it a while before it came back down, but they still did not add that fuel surcharge into the price of that freight being moved. So shout out to all the truck drivers that are out there and having to deal with this. Um, Hopefully they get it right soon. So welcome to the show, Radio Chaos. Welcome to the show. Oh Lord, he said, don't feel bad. Gas is nearly $6 a gallon in Vancouver. I think I'd give me a bike, a scooter, and a skateboard or something and just ride it, because it's no way $6 a gallon. Man, that's high. Backing up, oh, I can't say that one. Uh, yeah, I thought I was talking to my cousin on the phone. Yeah, that's pretty high. Almost $6 a gallon. Man, I could just imagine how much it takes to fill up a nice truck. Oh, you said that's normal? Shoot. Yeah, that's not good. Welcome to the show, Neva Patel, listening on Facebook. Thank you for always tuning in. Please don't be shy. Say hello, send me a wave or something. I see you come in quite a bit, and you're always welcome to come on the show and be a part of the show. So welcome. Thank you for always supporting the show by coming in and listening. So you can be a part of it too, just like Radio Chaos and the other listeners. Y'all can shout out, say hello. Always welcome to come in. But I don't know. So you said that's normal for Vancouver's almost $6 a gallon? That you gotta. I don't know what is how much is your minimum wage up there? Just kind of curious because $6 a gallon, and in my vehicle at $2 and I think 39 cents a gallon, it cost me about 62, $63 to fill it up. So I could just imagine what it would cost at almost $6 a gallon. I think I'll just go back to the old days, start walking everywhere. Don't do it, just walk. Just be me and the polar bears out there. Me and the black bears walking together. Get one on the chain for the other one won't mess with me. But that's a lot. I cannot do it. Um, Radio said, I live close to the US border. Everybody here crosses the line to fill up. Minimum wage is $15 an hour, which is very low. The math don't add up. It just don't add up because depend if you're not working right next door and walking distance, that math do not add up. And gas that high, you have to drive 25, 30 miles one way to get to work. That means you're going to fill up your vehicle at least a couple of times a week, and don't go nowhere extra. It's going to be even more to fill it up at $15 an hour. That's high. And then you got to add your, if you're paying a car note, got to add that in there. Have to add your insurance. And then what about your living arrangement? Oh, you real close. Said you can walk to the border. See, that's when you get to know the border patrol. Be like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm just about to walk over here and cheaper across the border to buy something, and I'm coming right back. So you real close to the border. No, when my wife and I went to Seattle a couple of years ago, we was gonna take that crew. They have like a tour from Seattle to Canada, and we was gonna take it, and we both forgot our passports, so we couldn't take it. But that would have been nice to take, and I would have loved to be able to come over to Canada. So we said the um, next time we come up that way, we definitely gonna do it. Make sure we have our passport with us for we can uh, see what's going on over there. Go over there and check it out. See what's popping over there. As the young folks say, what's popping. Um, yeah, but add this extra fuel price on it, it'll eat all that up, eat up all the profit. Then you have maintenance, and that's what people don't consider. Um, um, what people don't consider when they book these trucks and stuff, um, and you don't pay that much. Right now, they say the average price for oh, that's gasoline. Hold on. For diesel fuel in the U.S., it's about $3.18. That's what the average price is for right now. West Coast is like 369, or um, that's not including California. California is $4, but that's they don't take that in consideration that you're paying a cheap rate for the freight, and then you turn around and have to, um, like for instance, here locally, if you run a local run, they will try to pay you like in the Metroplex. They'll try to pay you anywhere from, and it's from 7 years ago. 250 to 300 per load. You might get one load, you may get multiple loads, just depends. But you take one of those loads. I say, for instance, you're able to get to them at 300 each. That's $600. Now you got to add in the fact that depends on how long it take you to get loaded and unloaded. That can pretty much take all day on two loads. Then you have to look at the labor that you're putting into it, strapping the load down and all of this. Then you have to look at what if you have a flat and you have to call road service. Well, with road service, they're going to charge you. Back then, I think it was like $2 or $3 a mile round trip. $2 or $3 a mile round trip. Then you got to pay for the tire. And by the time you do all of that, and they're not going to bring you a used tire either. They're going to bring you a brand new tire. So by the time they do all of that, you're going to end up paying, it's going to end up costing you probably about $800, close to $1,000, and you only got paid $600 for that load. And that's just local. Now I know I had an incident where I had just crossed out of Georgia to North Carolina, and North Carolina, and I had a blowout weekend. So I get off, I see a truck, a tire repair place up front. I get off. They was closed. It's the weekend. So I end up having to call the truck stop and get a serviceman to come out. Now take it, I was just about a mile over the state line. They charge like $3 a mile round trip, charge for going over the state line. I brought a new tire out, then turned around, putting it on, the service fee for that. And it ended up costing me about $1,200–$1,300 for that tire. There go my profit. I'm like, man, by the time I paid for fuel, I didn't make anything. So people get over on truck drivers all the time. So radio said before 9/11, you would just need your driving license. Times had changed. Yeah, it's hard to get over on the border. Now, I know people that actually went across the I never drove trucks across the border. I just wasn't going to leave my country to go to another country for the rates they were paying us. I just never done that. Now, I always wanted to do ice road trucking. I always wanted to do that, but people would tell me the horror story of going into Canada. One thing about Canada, if you have anything on your record, it's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out. They didn't care. And if you had anything on your record, you may be sitting at that border for a day or two until they make sure you are clear to go. So that's what I have, a clean record, but I wasn't taking no chance either. So, but yeah, that's it. It was easy back in the days, but now, nah. You have to have your stuff in order, which you should anyway. But at the same time, that headache having to deal with that. If they found anything, they can keep you there as long as they want to. So, so that's. I hope they do what's right about this fuel, get it back online, start dropping the prices, and go from there. But meanwhile, in Texas, yeah, Greg Abbott I guess he's trying to benefit. I guess in a sense, it could be benefiting a lot of people, but I don't drink and drive, so um, which you're not supposed to be drinking and driving, no way. But then again, you have some people that just have to do it. I'm not knocking them. That's your choice, but do it smart. So Greg Abbott signed into law today. During the pandemic, he put a temporary order um, to allow people to get alcohol to go from restaurants. Well, you could get alcohol delivered to you, or you could go to a restaurant and order a drink to go. Well, it was signed into law today to make it permanent. The HB 1024, he signed it today with a big smile on his face. And to make it permanent where you can always get alcohol to go. Now, take it, certain places you could get it, like if you went to different daiquiri places, frozen daiquiri places. They have rules that they had to put it in a sealed plastic bag and you could get it to go, which is cool. I've done that before, and when I made it home, I enjoyed it. So, which that's not bad, but now some people. I hope people follow the rules, do what's right, but at the same time, I think it's going to open up. Um, it would open up more possibility of DWIs or DUIs. So I hope that's not the case, but it's a possibility. I don't know, but some people have an addiction. They feel they have to have a drink just to survive. Radio want to know a drink to go. Is drinking alcohol in public places in Texas? Um, so with this, you could get a drink to go, but that particular restaurant is supposed to have it sealed up where it's not easy to get to, but it is. But what they're saying, though, it cannot be in the passenger part of the vehicle. So it need to be in the trunk area. They might put it in the trunk, but um, they can always get out and do it. Now, drinking at restaurants, yes. Bars, yes, you can always drink it there. Even some movie theaters do carry liquor. Um, I'm not going to name them unless they want to be a sponsor, but there are some movie theaters that have bars in them. And you could go in there and order you a full meal and order you also a nice drink to wash that meal down and watch your movie like you're at home with the nice reclining chair or so in them. So yeah, it's definitely. I just hope we don't have a influenza teen again. Ethan Cal, I think that's his last name, Ethan, the one that killed the people in Fort Worth from underage drinking, or all these DWIs that we do have where people go out to bars, get drunk, but now it's nothing to stop people from pulling over, grabbing the drink at the back, and then getting back on the road and driving. But hopefully people do it responsible, which I'm okay with the bill. I'm okay with it. But for me personally, I just hope that we don't have a big uprise in DWIs, DUIs, and crashes and stuff. But it's not a bad thing. It can help out a lot of small business which is a good thing, but hopefully people follow the rules of the law. And one thing about it, you need to be able to know that law to make sure you following that law correctly, because I've heard, I've seen people talk about it, but only heard a couple of news stations that actually point out that you cannot have that alcohol in the passenger part of the vehicle. It must be in the back. So that's one of those fine prints that if you don't know, it can get you in trouble. So you have to have it in the trunk or in the storage area while you're transporting it home. Now, and another misleading thing was when these restaurants was bringing them out, they was handing the bag to the people. So you have to know the fine print of it. And I heard a couple of news stations say you cannot have it in the passenger side of the vehicle. It must be in the storage area. So I think that's what's going to get a lot of people in trouble, because people just going to hear the fact that, oh, I could get drinks to go now. I could get drinks to go from my favorite watering hole. So, um, and then it's some other situation because you can get them delivered. I don't know if, well, I assume like if you do one of the food service in place and you decide to order a drink too, they can bring it. But are they going to require for these food delivery place to put it in the back also? And then with that saying, putting it in the back, are those containers going to be strong enough to keep it from tipping over and wasting? So I'm just saying, it's going to be interesting as we learn more about it. Just went into law today. We've been doing it since last year. So we'll see. Um, but I still think it's kind of like, still think it's kind of one of those things. Greg Abbott trying to get on the good side of folks. He's up for re-election. I'm just saying. Um, yeah, you're right on that. It just take one drunk idiot to spoil everything. But even then, it's gonna be interesting. And well, you can always get that Mad Dog 2020 uh, to go because it comes in a bottle. Uh, so that's gonna be that Mad Dog. You can get it from anywhere. Just go and get you the little paint, put it in your back pocket as you walking home or getting in your car. Either way, in the little brown paper bag. Um, now I'm gonna ask the question, and I should have did that story last, but I'm gonna ask the question. Um, since they are legalizing drinks to go, are they gonna legalize marijuana here in Texas? Inquiry minds want to know. Um, I'm just asking. And also, I read something online earlier today, and I'm like, is this true? Let me pull this up to make sure this is true, because I don't like putting out wrong information. So I want to make sure it is true. The question was, or the statement said, um, I'm gonna pull it up so I can make sure I'm saying this right, because like I said, I don't wanna be wrong, and then y'all be talking about Kurt Dog, you told us wrong. That wasn't right. So I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Um, The thing was, marijuana was made illegal in 1937 by a man who claimed that it was a drug that made white women want to be with black men. I'm like, ooh. I said, is that true? Um, so I did some research on it. And some people may feel like it's not right. Um, so as I did my research on it, I found out more information. Um, I'm trying to pull it up because I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it. But then what happened is I said, well, let me throw it out there since I'm talking about the legalizing drinks to go. Why not? Um, radio said it probably is good. It probably is good for removing paint also. Yeah, that Mad Dog 2020 going to remove a lot of things. He said weed is legal here, has been for a couple of years. The taxes they collect off of it is great for the government. Now, here's the thing. You know, they've been saying for the longest they could not tax marijuana. That's why it's not legal. That was the whole complaint about it. But when someone posted this morning, I'm like, well, let me dig a little bit into it and see if this is true or not. So so let me make sure that's the one I want. Um, okay, well, that's pretty much saying the same story. And you can find this if you put in why was marijuana made illegal in the first place? And the story will come up. I've seen different articles about it. Well, the thing is, we began outlawing marijuana in the United States in 1910 for Western states. A driving reason was a fear of Mexican immigrants who used the plant in eastern states. It was fear of African American and jazz musicians who used cannabis to take advantage of white women. Making marijuana illegal was essentially a way to outlaw being an immigrant or not white. Check out the racist quote from the Authority on Drugs in 1930. Harry J. Anslinger of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, the original DEA. Most marijuana smokers are Negroes, Hispanic, jazz musicians, and entertainers. Their satanic music is driven by marijuana, and marijuana smoking by white women make them want to seek sexual relationship with Negroes, entertainers, and others. Facts like this became a staple for marijuana prohibited as Congress and the rest of the country assumed that the guy actually knew what he was talking about. The hateful and fear induced views amplify and singular quote were an instrumental part in the prohibition of marijuana and are still alive in scary drug stories like crack babies and the Miami face eater. Um, the film Reefer Madness came out around the same time, 1936 to be exact. The film did take high school students partaking in a hit and run, manslaughter, attempted rape, and then simply going insane. Maybe the most ridiculous deception was later found in catalyzing version in which the marijuana smoke is green, possibly to different it from harmless tobacco smoke people were familiar with. So that's the reason why marijuana was made illegal. Now, the other story I heard that I read up on, and I'm gonna see if I can find that one, which is very similar to this one, and it was interesting because they went into a little bit deeper detail. Radio said it's funny how people believe carrying a gun is no big deal, but the use of weed is so dangerous to society. Yeah, and the problem is a lot of them that are making these policies are using marijuana. Some of them allegedly might be using a little bit more than that. So, here's the first article I read, and this article came out October 8, 2014. How did marijuana become illegal in the first place? With so much information coming out about the medical value of marijuana, and that marijuana is not as dangerous as alcohol, why was it made illegal in the first place? Sincerely, looking for history lesson. They said they're looking. This is an excellent question. Now that many politicians and public are taking a more objective look at marijuana, many are asking about the legal history of marijuana and how it ended up in the category of drugs deemed most dangerous by the federal government, Schedule 1. To understand how we ended up here, it is important to go back to what was happening in the United States in the early 1900s. Just after the Mexican Revolution, at this time, we saw an influence of immigration from Mexico into states like Texas and Louisiana. Not surprising, these new Americans brought with them their native language, culture, and customs. One of these customs was the use of cannabis as a medical and relaxation. Mexican immigrant referred to this plant as marijuana, while Americans were very familiar with cannabis because it was present in almost all culture and medical available at the time. The word marijuana was a foreign term. So when the media began to play on the fears that the public had about these new citizens by falsely spreading claims about the disturbed Mexican with their dangerous native behavior, including marijuana use, the rest of the nation did not know that this marijuana was a plant that already had in their medical cabinets. The demonstration of the cannabis plant was an extension of the demonetizing of the Mexican immigrant in an effort to control and keep tabs on these new citizens. El Paso, Texas borrowed a play from San Francisco playbook, which had outlawed alternate decades earlier in an effort to control Chinese immigrant. The idea was to have an excuse to search, detain, and deport Mexican immigrants. That excuse became marijuana. This method of controlling people by controlling their customs was quite successful, so much that it became a national strategy for keeping certain population under the watch and control of the government. During hearing on marijuana law in the 1930s, claims were made about marijuana ability to cause men of color to become violent and solicit sex from white women. This imaginary became the backdrop of the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, which effectively banned its use and sales. While the act was ruled unconstitutional years later, it was replaced with the Controlled Substance Act in the 1970s, which established schedule for ranking substance according to their dangerous and potential for addiction. Cannabis was placed in the most restricted category, Schedule 1, supposedly as a placeholder while then President Nixon commissioned a report to give a final recommendation. So let the truth be told. Some people may not care about that. But with both of these articles I just read, it comes back to the fact marijuana was banned not because of how it made you feel, but it was banned to try to prevent Black men or people of color from mating with white women. Now, of course, we know back in the 70s, the hippie days, when they had these hippie parties, it didn't make a difference what color you was. Everybody was smoking. Everybody was having a good time. But I know for the last couple of weeks, the term come out, America is racist. Yeah. Making laws to prevent, to actually try to deport people because you feel they're going to solicit sex from white women. It wasn't about the marijuana. It was about the fact that it made you feel good. And you felt like you was going to, the white women was going to go to them and have relations. That's what it was about. It had nothing to do with marijuana. Now take it, marijuana been used for many years, basically for medical purpose. Yeah, it's gonna make you high, but how often do you hear somebody smoking marijuana and going out killing folks? Talking about straight marijuana, because I know some people do lace it. I know some people may have other things to go with it. But the thing is, it said in the story they took it to relax, to get some rest. But the fear of white women mating with people of color, you sign this into law. That's why I say all the time, it's important that we vote. It's important. So since the 1900s, they've been trying to keep immigrants from Mexico out of this country. But then we had the slogan, land of the free. That's a lie. This ain't the land of the free. You wouldn't spend all that money trying to keep people out. America been built on a lie ever since it was stolen from Native Americans. Now, back in the old days, Native Americans, they called that the peace pipe. There was nothing wrong with it then. So now, all these years later, over 100 years later, well, almost 100 years, because that bill went in effect 1937, I believe. Uh, Now they trying to make it legal again. Sound like to me it's about writing up a law. Reverse what they did back then. Make it legal the right way. Make it fair the right way. And what I mean about that, that don't mean you let your homeboys go out and buy these shops and stuff and grow it, and you're not fair about it. Make it legal the right way, where it's open for whoever want to do it the right way. They have that opportunity. Because, as far as I know, there's not too many minority-owned shops that is selling marijuana. Yeah, I know. I think Snoop allegedly have his own string, or I think he was trying to open up a shop at one point. I think Shoni O'Neal, I allegedly, I believe she have one, but make it known, make it easy for, not necessarily make it easy, but make it fair for other minorities to get into this business too. That's how you make it right. Um, Radio said they banned alcohol during prohibit uh, thinking it would cure alcoholism and have abusive marriage. Look how well that worked out. It led to organized crime. Yeah, that's what it did. But even alcohol, think about it. They didn't have a choice but to make alcohol legal. Back in the old days, if you go and look back in the old days, you could see um, where they had the moonshine back in the woods, making that corn whiskey, making that corn whiskey. Um, so at some point they had to make it legal. What were they gonna do? Arrest their homeboys, their family members? I'm just asking. So yeah, um, it's definitely something you got to think about. Radio said Trump doesn't drink or do drugs. Apparently, look at the look he turned out to be. That might be his issue. He might be on a little something. Welcome to the show, T Caster. Hey, Kurt Dog. I'm checking in. I'm still at work. Can't wait to head out and get home so I can listen on the way home. Would definitely be safe. Don't be trying to type and drive at the same time. So hopefully you get out of there soon. But I don't want your husband talking about she was trying to type on your show and this happened or that happened and he be coming after me and I'm broke. Yeah, but definitely be careful. Thank you for always tuning in and supporting the show. Um, so that I just feel, and my question is, since Texas is gonna make alcohol to go legal, how hard is it for us to make legalized marijuana legal in Texas? How hard would that take? How would that work? Now, I know radio said in Canada, they charge taxes on it. Well, for years, they said, well, we unable to charge taxes on it. We unable to do that. You charge taxes on everything else. Why not? Why you cannot charge taxes? Why not? But I guess it's about who's. Uh, I'm gonna leave that one alone. No, allegedly. Guess it depends on who come with the best payout. Allegedly. Um, so I've always felt allegedly that reason why Texas don't have casinos here. Somebody had their hand in the cookie jar. Now we do have one casino down near the border. It's between um, the name of the city just flipped my mind. But it's down there. And what's the name of the little small town? I've been down there many times. Uh, um, golly, it's gonna be what is the name of that town? It's way near the border. Um, Now they say Texas have 22 casinos in which you'll find more. I don't know where those at. Um, so trying to see where. Welcome to the show, Sheldon Ellis, watching on Facebook. Welcome to the show. Thank you for always tuning in. No, it's been a while since I've seen you chime in. Hopefully, you and the family is doing great. Um, but thank you for always tuning in when you get the opportunity. Eagle Pass is what I'm thinking of. Texas do um, have a casino in Eagle Pass, Texas, which is you can throw a rock across the border. That's how close it is. So yes, they do have a casino there. Now, what I Google said is at least 22 casinos in Texas. I don't know about anywhere else. Maybe they counting in the future. Um, but I know it's one in Eagle Pass, um, southwest of San Antonio and west of Laredo. So, yeah, I've been down there well, I've been to Eagle Pass many of times. That's a long, boring road to drive. And one time I had a blowout down there on the way back. Oh, Lord. Yeah, that wasn't good. Radio said, I doubt a Republican dominant state like Texas would legalize it. Conservative spread fear about weed use. Been doing it for decades. That's the problem. That's how they got that bill to get signed back in 1910 when they started first talking about it. In 1937 is when they made it illegal to made marijuana illegal in 1937. Now, um, so it's definitely one of those situations where, and they use fear to get it passed. They feared that a person of color was gonna mate with a white woman. But let the truth be told, you see that all the time now. It's nothing new. They need to change with the time. It's coming now. Hell, let the truth be told. White men been mating with person of color for years, for centuries, while they killing the black man. They didn't have a problem mating with our queens back then, but you got a bill to pass out of fear of racism. You fear, you use the term that if we don't legalize, make this illegal, our white women will go and be with a person of color. And guess what? You made it illegal, but it didn't stop them from being with a person of color. They say blacker the berry, sweeter the juice. Um, I'm just saying, you what you try to prevent still happen anyway. It still happened. So yeah, that's my question is: should they go ahead and legalize marijuana in Texas? Since we know that they banned made marijuana illegal out of fear of race, I feel like that bill need to be thrown out. I know it's not that easy, but I think they need to change it. They definitely need to change it. Uh, yeah, I don't agree with that. That's a choice that a person makes. Dan Crenshaw keep taunting it as a gateway drug that make it certain you will move on to heroin. No studies support this, but Crenshaw keeps arguing. The thing is, it's a choice. It's a choice. Kind of like, for instance, kind of like, for instance, when Trump started running, people listened to what he said and believed everything he said. But they made a choice to follow a fool. They made a choice to follow a fool. That's not a guarantee. I've told the story that back in the days I used to um, smoke a nice number of weed a week, and but when I decided I wanted to drive trucks, I gave it up cold turkey. Had some in the house for years, never touched it. It's a choice. I feel like anything that we do, well, anything that we do in life is a choice. It all starts in your mind. If you think it's going to lead to other drugs, yes, it will. But if you feel that you just want to puff, puff, and I wouldn't give nobody right now, uh, but if it was just a puff, puff, hey, that's your choice. You know what you want. But I think some people get to the point, oh, I'm used to smoking this weed. I'm used to doing this. I'm used to doing that. But I want a little bit more high. Then you have the bad influence friends come and say, um, hey, why don't you try this? It'll give you a better buzz than weed. Now you hook. I've never been a person to be easily influenced. Yeah, before I drove trucks, I used to smoke. And if they make it legal here in Texas, I probably would smoke anyway. But I don't trust weed today. Not buying it off the street, I don't. But if it was illegal, hey, sign me up. Need a good night's sleep. But I'm just saying, that's me. But even then, I probably wouldn't even smoke that much no way, because I'm not young no more. So it just all depends. It's a choice that a person make. I know plenty of people that smoke. A lot of family members that smoke. That's their choice. But just because they smoking, don't mean I'm gonna smoke with them. It's a lot goes into it. I don't know where that came from. Matter of fact, I know we family, but I don't know where your lips been. It's a choice. Radio did said I think some of the GOP politician might be sniffing paint, allegedly sniffing paint. No, I think they upgraded, allegedly upgraded. I believe they're allegedly upgraded. It may not be pink, but it might be white, allegedly, because some of the policies they are signing, allegedly, they wasn't in their right mind. Because if so, they will be better. How they following this food, allegedly, they might be on a little something. Reason why they stuck behind this food so much. Maybe the fool is the kingpin. That's their connection. Allegedly, their connections. Kind of like when they say a crackhead trying to get another bump, you can get that crackhead to do whatever you want them to do, long as they get that bump. So some of these politicians, allegedly, they acting a little crackish because they follow behind this fool, even though they know what he was saying and doing is not right. So allegedly, they acting crackish. Are they doing they know like this all the time? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, allegedly. I don't know them, but some of their moves are allegedly crackish. So that's all I'm saying. I'm gonna just put it out there like that. Allegedly, I think they're doing a little bit more than that. So radio said you can you could get just as screwed up abusing prescription drugs. But hey, a doctor gave me these, so it's different. I'm not buying it on the street. You're right. Because I know for me personally, um, with my shoulder injury, a lot of doctors prescribe a lot of medication, pain pills. And every time I go, you need more pain pill? No. I have a high pain tolerance. So after I had surgery, the pain pill, I may only take uh, 2 days, three the most, because the fear of depending on something, that's just not me. Now, as for any other pills I have to take, as for antibiotic, I'm gonna take those. But pain pills, nah. I read labels. I do research on labels, and they would give me those opium. I'm like, nah. I see what it do, and it's mighty funny. As soon as Trump got in office, he actually signed the bill to help people to get help for the opium. But crack been around for a long time. They ain't trying to help those folks. Oh, my bad. Most of them don't look like him. So, yeah, uh, it's a lot. Radio said Dave Chappelle said during the crack epidemic of the 80s, it was billed as criminal activity. Yep. But when white kids of today are addicted, they say it's a public health crisis. That's why I just said. Soon as Trump got in office, what'd he do? He signed that bill to offer them help instead of arresting them. But you let a person get caught with a bump of crack, they going to jail. They going to jail. And not only that, they would also go and they would go lie to the doctor to get more of those pills. So yeah, it's a problem. Allegedly, some of these doctors writing prescription for themselves for those pills. Yeah, that's a fact. Kind of find out reason why I'm dealing with all this issue now because doctor I had was one of those writing prescription for himself. But that's a whole nother show. So yeah, it's a difference. See when it goes and deal with a certain group of folks, that's when it become a public health crisis. Kind of like this pandemic. When the virus started, when it came out, when it came out, it was um, it was known. They felt it was affecting everybody. Then it became a public health crisis when the coronavirus came out, when Trump finally decided to act on it. But then when it came out that it was mainly majority attacking people of color, they wanted to open everything back up. It wasn't a public health crisis no more. So it wasn't important. But when they felt like it was a public health crisis where it was affecting everybody, they shut everything down. Everything. Couple of weeks later, when they found out it was majority people of color it was affecting, they start want to open everything back up. So yeah, when it affects certain group of people, it's a public health crisis. When it affects minorities, that's their problem. I don't care. That's why we need to make sure we're getting out and vote. We don't need leaders like that. We need to be able to provide good service for everybody. Everybody. Was. Let's take was out of there and add is. Yeah. Take the was out. Or you can put still. Yeah, that's the reason why I've been dealing with this for so long. But I see light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, it's taking me a little bit longer than what I wanted, but it's going in the right direction. I have a good team I'm working with now who has squeaky clean backgrounds. That's why any medical professional I deal with, I pull up their medical license. I learned the hard way. At first, I trust them. You can't trust everybody. I don't care how many degrees they have. That's a whole nother subject. Spent time in prison. Didn't know. Did not know. I didn't do my homework, but I do it now. I don't play around when it comes down to my health. Oh yeah, it's bad. Trust me, it's bad. Like I said, December 15th, 2017, I damn near died because of him. Yeah, that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, it's getting better though. I have a great team working with me now. So I don't know if he was high at the time, but I know he went to prison behind it. Matter of fact, when I was in the hospital for those 6 weeks, I seen this young lady. Uh, she was visiting somebody next to me, and I went downstairs to walk around, try to get some exercise, walk around the hospital and all of this. But she said, "Oh, you had shoulder surgery?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She was like, "Who is your doctor?" I told her, and she went to cussing. That's what made me go and check his background. He surrendered him. He surrendered him. Volunteered to give him up. Also spent time in a psych hospital. All of this is on his medical record. If I know what I know now, dude never would have touched me. Matter of fact, tell you how bad it is. A news article came up about him when I Googled his name. The news article came up from a local station. I reached out to the reporter that did the news article. Well, she don't deal with that part of the news. But as soon as I said his name, they was like, "You mean to tell me he's still practicing? I'm surprised he haven't killed nobody yet." So I'm gonna tell anybody, if you having to get a procedure done, I don't care what kind it is, you can ask that doctor, what is his medical license number? Go to your medical board, pull up their information, look at their background, because it's so easy for a doctor to go in and do surgery, go in and do surgery and turn around and they can say you had complications. They'll blame the victim, but they won't blame themselves to cover themselves. I remember when when I had the emergency surgery in December 15, 2017, I had been taking documents. Every time I went to the doctor, I took pictures of my wound. I would ask questions. Days before, I was told I had an infection. He said everything looked good. I said, Doctor, that don't look good. December 14th, I seen him. I said, I had sent them a picture. His secretary said, hey, have you been digging in your wound? No. Why the hell will I be digging in a wound? I go into the office. He put some antibiotic pellets in there, which I later found out you're not supposed to do that in an office visit. And I remember, and I have a video of it. I'm sitting there and I said, hey, Doc, I think your Q-tip is falling. He said, oh, no, that's not my Q-tip. That's blood coming from your wound. Now pay attention. If they ever say you have a blood pocket, you need to get help. A blood pocket is the start of gangrene, meaning I could have lost my arm. So I'm telling him, I'm looking down, I'm like, hey, Doc, I think your Q-tip out the fall. He said, no, that's blood running down. So he cleaned it up, put some antibiotic pellets on it. Tell me come to his office on Monday. Well, when I left there, I end up, I made it home. I look at the wound, it's heavily bandaged. I look at it. I take a picture of it. I seen I had some drainage. Took a picture of it. I'm thinking because of everything they just did, it probably drained a little bit. No problem. That next morning, I get up. That Friday morning, I get up. I look at it. I see it drain more. I took another picture. I sent both of them to them that morning before they open up. I had a doctor's appointment that morning. Get there. Soon as I get to the parking lot, this was with another doctor. Get in the parking lot. They say, hey, you need to come in for emergency surgery now. You look like you have an infection. I'm like, now when? They're like, today, immediately. At this point, it's 9 something in the morning. Everybody is at work. And they told me I couldn't drive myself because I have to have surgery. So I end up going home, making phone calls. Had a friend to take me, get out there. I check in emergency room like they told me to. Everything was fine. All my vital was fine. Everything was great. And my wife couldn't leave work right away because of her position. She just couldn't get up and leave. So she came to the hospital as soon as someone came there to cover her shift, and which was great. My mom came there, um, and when it was all said and done, now take it. I'm back in surgery. Don't know how long I'm back there, but when I came through, I had a machine helping me breathe. I hear him telling my wife, "Well, he had some complication." Of course, I can't talk. I have a tube down my throat. But the next day, he comes see me. I'm like, "Doc, what happened?" He said, "Well, we had some complication. Your blood pressure was sky high." I said, "Well, Doc, I don't have blood pressure issue." I said, "Matter of fact, when I checked into the emergency room, they checked my blood pressure. It was normal." My wife told me later on, she said, "Look, you was back there for hours." And they wouldn't tell me nothing. So, long story short, they had to do another surgery that Sunday. And the anesthesiology apologized to me that he woke me up wrong, but he said he have it right this time. And I told him, I said, "Look, make sure I wake up. Make sure I wake up." So I don't know what they did wrong. I was out. That's why it's so important to do your background check on any doctor that you deal with. So yeah, that's part of my story. And I've been dealing with it ever since. So radio said orthopedic surgery is a very complex specialty. You think there would be better oversight? Yeah, you would think. See, my current orthopedic, he told me something that he said one of his patients told him. Um, they was talking and he asked, "Well, why did you call me?" She said, "Because I love my doctors young and I love my lawyers old." And he didn't understand what she was saying. So he asked her, "What you mean about that?" He said, "Look, an old lawyer, the laws don't change much. They can win a lawsuit. But a young doctor had the new technology to do things. Every time I look in the mirror at my shoulder, it pisses me off from the scar that I have. I actually have a scar from here all the way up to here. Had 8 surgeries so far. And I said, no, I'm done. Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. So here it is. Whatever you do, if you have to go and deal with a doctor, check their medical record. If you ask them for their medical license, they refuse to give it to you. You need to get their full name and go to your state medical record, and you should be able to pull up their medical record. When I seen the things that I seen on this guy background, I made a decision while I was in the hospital. He would never touch me again. Never touch me again. So that's yeah, TCAB, be careful now. Said getting on the road again, about to drive and listen to one of my favorite men. I hope your husband ain't listening. I'm so happy to get on this road again. We'll be safe going home. Um, but whatever you do, if you have to deal with a medical personnel, regardless of what they say about their background, do a check on them before you see them. Anybody who I deal with, I do a background check on them. I don't care. If I see anything that looks suspicious on their background, they cannot touch me. That's why, to be honest with you, I'm paranoid about having another surgery. I'm extremely paranoid. I don't like it at all. But I know that wasn't part of the show tonight, but we never know how this show may go. Um, but yeah, it's I know that's being real personal, but at the same time, that's just part of me being honest. Should this guy be practicing? Hell no. Well, I think a lot of these hospitals should be held responsible for it, for the simple fact they have to give them permission to do surgeries there, so they know about their background. They have to go through a board to get approved by that board before get approved by the surgery board in order to even practice there. A telltale sign if you have a good doctor or not If they're at one of these rinky-dink hospitals, they keep changing the name every couple of years. 9 times out of 10, that doctor is not good. 9 times out of 10, he's not good. But we as a people, we thinking just because they're doctors, we can trust what they're telling us. And that's not always the fact. That's not always true. Just like politicians, they only come around when it's election time. And they will tell us what they feel that we want to hear. Then, if we decide to vote for them and they get in office, we don't hear from them until it's re-election time. That's why, for me, I ask questions. I ask questions. That's why I support candidates and promote candidates that I feel that is best for that community. We seen what we've had in the past. And if somebody's coming in trying to do something different, why continue to do the same thing and get the same outcome? Or do the same thing and expect a different outcome? No, you need to try something different. That's how you look at it. So, um, early election is starting soon here in early voting starting soon. Um, ooh, I know the election is on. I want to say it's May 24th. Um, uh, make sure. Want to make sure I'm giving y'all the correct date. Um, uh, okay, come on, thing moving kind of slow. So, I want to say it's May 24th through the 1st. Yes, early election start May 24th to June 1st. And the runoff, this is for the runoff election. And the election date is June 5th. So you have from May 24th to June 1st to vote early. This is for the upcoming runoff election here in Texas. The election date is June 5th. Do not wait until June 5th to go in there and try to vote. Don't do it. Go ahead and get it done early because you don't know what might happen. Vote early. Get it done. Um, and that's for the entire state of Texas. Check your dates, whatever state you're located in. I personally, it's no secret, I support Kirk Johnson and Junior Ezino, um, and also Deborah Peoples in Fort Worth. Between the three of them, they can make history in their cities. Deborah Peoples can actually be the first African American mayor of the city of Fort Worth. First female African American mayor, and I don't think Fort Worth. I don't know if Fort Worth ever had one because I'm not there, but I know she can make history by becoming the first female African American in Fort Worth. Um, and then as for Junior Zeno and also Kurt Johnson, they could become the first African American for the city council in the city of Grand Prairie. And they never had a minority African American on the city council. So the city of Grand Prairie had the opportunity of having two at one time. I've asked them the question that I would ask any other elected official: what are you going to do for that community? And they told me right off bat without even thinking about it. So, yes, you have to vote for who's best for you and your community. Now, I'm going to say this. A lot of people, they concerned about what party a person affiliated with. Now, here's the thing. In local election, they're all nonpartisan. It's not a party. They want to know, well, why we can't vote for parties. Well, you should never just vote for parties. Just because you're a Democrat, you shouldn't just vote Democrat. Just because you're a Republican, you shouldn't just vote Republican. You have to vote who's the best thing for you and your community. That's who you have to vote on. Who's going to be the best for you and your community? And for myself, from Kurt and Junior, when they was on the show, they broke it down what they wanted. They both said that their candidates mentioned in the form they didn't have time to be a city councilman. They too busy. They've been there too long. And they don't want to step down. So why would you, if you don't have time to serve the people that you wanted to elect you into this position again, and you're saying you don't have time? Just like the survey that came out. They want your opinion about things, but they don't even have enough, don't respect you enough to even put a return postage in the survey. So they really didn't want to know your opinion. We need people that's going to be for everyone, not just one group of people. You are serving a community. In that community, you have all different race, background, creed, however you want to slice it up or dice it. You have to be able to represent everyone and not just talking about, you know where I stand for. No, I don't know where you stand. Explain to me what you stand on. Explain that to me. But a lot of them can't. So if you're in the city of Grand Prairie or know someone in the city of Grand Prairie, get out and vote. Junior Zeno and Kurt Johnson. In the city of Fort Worth, Deborah Peoples. And we need to show up and vote. We do not need turnouts like it did last time. We don't need those type of turnouts. We need large number turnouts. And if you voted in the last election, you still need to vote again. Don't think, Oh, I voted last time. I don't need to vote this time. Yes, you do. Matter of fact, you need to tell somebody and take them to the poll with you and have them go vote with you. We need a change. You say you want change? This is how you can make a change by getting out and vote, not just for the federal level, but for your local level, because that's where all our laws are influenced from. It's by the local level. So if you want change, get out and vote locally as well as the federal laws. And please pay attention to these bonds. Pay attention to that. See, I'm glad I did not read this while I was saying that. And radio said, and don't let anyone throw your ballot in the chicken coop. Because we had someone to call in or type in and said that he witnessed somebody throwing ballots in the chicken coop. He witnessed a van that said Harris and Biden outside the polling place, and they dropped a big uh, ballot box that had ballots in it. And each time he didn't have his phone. Yeah. So definitely get out, let your voice be heard. Early voting started in Texas, May 24th through June 1st. Then the election is June 5th. Get out and vote. And if you're not registered to vote, get registered. We have some major elections coming up here in Texas. Greg Abbott coming up soon, Dan Patrick, Ken Patson, the Board of Education. They're all coming up soon. So get registered to vote for you can let your voice be heard. Tomorrow night, I'll be rolling solo. Miss Risky is busy this week. She's working on some major things, so she won't be on the show tomorrow. I know Marcella's probably broke his heart, but you gotta deal with me tomorrow. So, but I will be rolling solo. I know we didn't really do speak on it with who you would Kurt ask Kurt Dog anything. And we didn't get a chance to talk about Representative Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney's daughter. I'll just hit on it real quick. She did say she will do everything she can to make sure Trump is not elected again. Now, because of her stance, uh, the position she was holding. Now, she's still a representative, but the position she was holding within the Republican Party, they decided to remove her today for doing what's right and calling BS out. Because the thing is, they could have easily impeached that man. Then you wouldn't have to worry about him again. But that's why I said maybe he's the kingpin, allegedly kingpin, and he have a lot more dirt on a lot of them than what they want exposed. But I'm glad Liz Cheney spoke out. She was adamant about impeaching him. That's why they removed her from that position. And let the truth be told, I feel like Liz had more balls than most of those men that is up there because she spoke out. And she's still speaking out. She didn't care about where they removed her from. She's still a representative, a state representative. That little position they gave her, okay, fine, that's a title. But she have a clean heart because she spoke out about it and she continued to speak out about it. Said she would do everything she can to make sure he don't get reelected. That take a lot of balls. Liz Cheney, I appreciate you for doing what's right. Yes, whatever position she was holding, let me pull it up because I had a story. They did oust her for calling out Trump false election claim. So they did remove her um, from that leadership post. And it only took 16 minutes for them to do it. And here's another thing. They were so much of a coward, they did it by a voice vote. A voice vote, meaning she don't know who did it, who voted to remove her. It's no record of it. So basically, they probably had the lights cut down and they just went down the road and just called whoever, went down the road side by side. How do you vote? Out, in, out, out, out. Took 16 minutes to vote her out, that leadership role. That's the way it should be. But because they did a voice vote, excuse me, because they did a voice vote, because they're so much of a coward to not let it be known who voted to remove her. And here's the funny part. Here's the funny part. These same folks that voted to remove her is probably smiling in her face right now. I think OJ's was on or something when they said, came out with that song Backstabber. They smile in your face and stabbing you in the back. You backstabber. If you was honest about what you was doing, you wouldn't have no issue with doing the voting the right way. The way that you would normally hold a vote about who voted for this and who didn't, who voted to have her removed and who didn't. You would do it the right way. But instead, you did a voice vote. And she probably wasn't even in the room when they did it. They probably behind closed doors. 16 minutes. 16 minutes. Because she spoke out against what was wrong with Trump. the fact of talking about um, the election was a fraud. He was cheated. Um, according to CNN, the vote toss represented Liz Cheney from her leadership um, position took. Hold on, I'm trying to, because I know this thing ain't gonna start talking in my ear. Took only 16 minutes. The House Republican Conference met Wednesday morning to oust the Wyoming Congresswoman from her position as the third ranking Republican member in Congress. Source told CNN they expected it to be quick. But it happened so quickly that some member arrived just in time for the vote. It stood in contrast to the more than 4 hour meeting and vote that took place on February the 4th that kept Cheney in leadership at the time. Following her vote to impeach former President Donald Duck Trump for his role in inciting the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, the meeting began with Cheney giving remarks to her colleague, where she once again called out Trump for his big lie that the 2020 election was stolen, and other Republican who aided his effort to overturn his laws, charging that she would lead the fight to restore our party and our nation to conservative principle. We cannot let former president drag us backward and make us compete in his effort to unravel our democracy. Cheney said in her remarks before being ousted, down that path lies our destruction and potentially destruction of our country. Source told CNN that she criticized Trump. She was booed by some of her colleagues. She concluded her remarks with a prayer, which earned her a standing ovation, according to Rep. Ken Buck, a conservative Colorado Republican. Then Rep. Virginia Fox of North Carolina made the motion to recall Cheney, thus formally beginning the process of removing her as conference chair. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy spoke briefly, and a vote was called. Because it was a voice vote, there is no tally of those who supported or opposed Cheney. A source in the room told CNN that McCarthy made the same point he wrote in his letter released on Monday before the vote. Another source told CNN that 5 lawmakers stood to request a recorded vote to remove Cheney from the leadership, but that did not happen, and the gravel came down. It was up to McCarthy, a California Republican, whether he wanted a voice vote or not, and Kevin asked for voice, the source said, after House and Cheney walked out of the meeting and addressed reporters saying she planned to lead the fight to remove the Republican Party closer to the fundamental principle of conservatism. I'm absolutely committed, as I said last night, as I said just now, now to my colleagues, that we must go forward based on truth. She said, we cannot both embrace the big lie and embrace the Constitution. And going forward, the nation needed. The nation need a strong Republican Party. The nation need a party that is based upon fundamental principle of conservatism. And I am committed and dedicated to ensuring that excuse me, that's how the party goes forward. And I plan to lead the fight to do that. That story came from CNN. Um, yeah, so they got rid of her for speaking the truth. I know that could start a whole nother conversation, but we're not gonna do it tonight. Because I have questions. Because it sounded like to me she was saying it's a lot of lying going on in the Republican Party. I'm just saying. Radio said the new GOP are never going to do anything the right way. They think they can do whatever they want from now on. Mm. TCal said, "You're right." Laughing. Pitiful. She not the first and won't be the last. No, because what people have to realize, no matter what they do in life, at the end of the day, when you go and meet your maker and you get to that crossroad, everything that you do on this earth, you're going to be held accountable for it. That's why I live by Matthews 25 and 40. Do unto the least of these as if you're doing it unto me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me water to drink. When I was needed clothing, you gave me clothes. And the Lord asked, when did not the Lord, the servant asked, when did we do this for you? And he responded, when you did it to the least of these, you was doing it unto me. So just like our leaders, the laws that you are making that is not benefiting all, let me say that again, all the people in this country, you're going to be held accountable for it. You will be held accountable. You are listening to Speak on It with Who You With, Kurt, though. I appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Like I said, Miss Risky is off tomorrow. She's taking a little time off because she's working on some other stuff. But she will be back next Thursday. And um, so hopefully we'll come back together next week. I will be here tomorrow. So you can join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Time. And we can have a good time. We can finish this conversation. And tomorrow we'll do Ask Kurt Dog Anything. Y'all can call in tomorrow, whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about it. So until tomorrow night, I love each and every one of you. Until then,